I think we're kind of ready to get started. We've got 2 more members that are straggling up here, but we are going to get started anyway. I just want to say at the beginning here, I have to do a bill in JPR this afternoon. So I am going to sneak out of here and hopefully do it really fast and come back. But I think our super duper Senator Bailey will take over for me while I run and do that. So just bear with us. It's crazy as ever here. Okay, we are going to start this afternoon with the University of Maryland, Baltimore campus.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to start with Exhibit 1 on page 4, which shows the fall enrollment over the last 5 years. Enrollment reached its highest level in 21 and has since declined 8.9%, mainly due to a 20% decline in the enrollment in the master's programs. And this is attributed to the enrollment in the medical cannabis program stabilizing and a decline in the Master of Social Work program due to an increase in the number of accredited programs and a transition in leadership. The decline in professional practice programs since 22 is due to a decline in the PharmD program, reflecting a national trend in which there is a decrease in the demand for pharmacists, and there is also an increase of programs at competing institutions. While enrollment did decrease for a third year in 24, the rate has declined from the rate of decline has slowed from 4.3% to 0.5%. Exhibit 2 on page 5 shows enrollment in the medical-related professional programs. Overall, enrollment in the BSN program has grown 12.6% since 23, which is partly offset by a decline in the graduate nursing programs. This resulted in an overall decrease of 23 students, but the demand remains strong for the nursing programs. Exhibit 3 on page 6 shows the medical-related professional graduates by program. And of course, nursing accounts for a majority of the degrees conferred. The number of pharmacy degrees has decreased by 40% since 2020, reflecting the continuing decline in enrollment in these programs. Turning to affordability on page 7, Exhibit 4 shows the cost of attendance by professional programs, which ranges from over $50,000 for the Master of Science in Nursing to over $107,000 for the dental program. While UMB has provided over $180 million in graduate financial aid, 80% of a student's package consists of federal loans. Geography impacts the accumulation of debt, earnings, and repayment of debt, in that lower salaries in underserved areas of the state make it less affordable for graduates to work there. So UMB is using institutional financial aid and endowment funds to create award packages so as to reduce a student's needs to borrow. Exhibit 5 on page 9 shows the average debt by program, with dental graduates having the highest average debt of over $305,000. Moving on to legislative priorities on page 10. UMB received $1.4 million in the 25 budget to fund 5 projects, and a summary of how those funds are being used are shown on the page. The allowance does include the continuation of 2 projects, the Real Scholarship Program and the Emergency Dental Clinic. Exhibit 6 on page 12 shows budget changes for unrestricted funds by program areas for 24 and 25. Overall expenditures increased by $26.3 million, or 2.9%. A majority of the increase in spending across all program areas is due to the annualization of the 24 salary increase. In addition, the increase in research expenditures is primarily due to a new mission support agreement between UMS and University Maryland of Medical Center, and increased spending on institutional support is related to implementation of a new human resource system and the cost of opening a new facility. Moving on to the proposed budget, Exhibit 7 on page 13. State funds decreased 5.3%, or $18.5 million, when excluding the impact of the 25 general salary increases in 26, which are not included in the 25 working appropriation. As shown on page 14, increases in state support include $1 million related to restoration of funding for the Empowering Joint Steering Committee that was removed by BPW cost containment, and $750,000 as mandated by statute for the University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing. Decreases not only include the 5% reduction to state support, but also $1.7 million for legislative additions that did not receive funding in the allowance. We asked the President to comment on what actions will be taken to recover the reduction in state funding. Exhibit 8 on page 15 shows unrestricted revenues by source. So cost containment actions in 2020 result in state funding going from comprising 37% to 35% of total revenues. In 23, state funds grew grew to comprise 38% of revenues due to general salary increases and restoration of the 21 BPW reductions. And salary increases in 24 result in state funding to account for about 40% of revenues. The recommendation is on page 17. That's to see the USM overview for system-wide recommendations. And that concludes my presentation.
Nice job. Thank you very much. Dr. Gerald, would you like to come up to the table? You have anybody else you want to bring with you?
Our CFO was going to be here, but got tied up with the weather, so
Not a
could not
problem.
be here. So,
Go ahead.
thank you. For the record, my name is Bruce Gerald. I'm here to present the University of Maryland, Baltimore testimony on behalf of UMB. Senator King, I thank you, and I thank your committee for your support
Could you
of UMB.
pull that mic up a
and I
little bit
thank-
closer to you?
I'm sorry?
Pull the mic up just a little bit closer to
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's better.
And Sarah Baker for her usual thoughtful analysis. And I certainly want to express my thanks to the governor and to the General Assembly for your tremendous support of UMB. As a reminder, UMB is the state's graduate and professional studies university, healthcare, law, and social sciences, plus research PhDs. We train the next generation and discover cures, but we also are very active in developing new companies and an anchor institution in Baltimore. I want to begin by thanking you because UMB has a national reputation, and it's due to the great support that we get from this state in addition to other things. All of our schools are nationally ranked. 75% of our graduates come from Maryland. Many stay in Maryland. We want more to stay there, and we know there's a shortage of providers around the state. I want to particularly thank you for your support of the new Eastern Shore Medical School track in conjunction with University of Maryland Eastern Shore. We already have 6 students enrolled in that. We plan to have a total of 40 when it's fully developed. Our physician assistant program for students has increased in size from 40 to 60 students per year, and we are actively training practicing PAs around the state to become faculty to teach these many students needed in Eastern Shore of Maryland, Western Maryland PA educational programs. In Easton, Maryland, we're in full partnership with the University of Maryland Medical System and the new Shore Health Medical Center. And along with the new facility being built, we intend to have students of all sorts there in the health professions learning together, working with the patients in the mid-shore region. And we are also jointly fundraising with the University of Maryland Medical System for scholarships for these students. Lastly, on our students program, we remain very committed to the universities at Shady Grove. And I want to emphasize with you that 2 UMB programs, the School of Nursing program is #1 in enrollment at Shady Grove, and our School of Social Work is #2 in enrollment at Shady Grove. And we now have dental students there treating patients in the beautiful 24-chair facility in the new building. Our clinical programs are nationally recognized, and I want to mention just 2 crown jewels, both of which you have supported generously. The first is our shock trauma program, and I don't need to say more about that, about how important that is with the state. The second is the Greenebaum Comprehensive Cancer Center, providing cancer center care throughout the state. This is a National Cancer Institute designated center. It is a jewel, and in the past you have generously supported this program through the Cigarette Restitution Fund. Although this year the funding for the CRF has been zeroed out. We have an upcoming competitive renewal for this grant. The loss of CRF will place this crown jewel in great jeopardy. It makes many cancer trials and other care available for all the citizens of Maryland. Our research is highly funded. We had $638 million in grants this year. And when you combine us with our strategic partners at College Park, you're looking at $1.3 billion of research expenditures a year. We compete for these dollars. They're not given to us. We fight for them. That amount of expenditure ranks us 18th overall in the country for universities and 11th among public universities. by the National Science Foundation. And I want to make sure that you all understand just how important empowering the state, the strategic partnership between UMB and College Park has been to make these things happen. We're now in our 10th year. It has been immensely successful in garnering new research funding, enriching student resources and experiences, and in collaboration. And just yesterday, we announced 7 new Empower professors who are joint people who split time between both campuses to improve that collaboration. And 2 years ago, the Empower Partnership stood up the University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing in Montgomery County. This is a national center applying artificial intelligence to healthcare. It's College Park, UMB, and the University of Maryland Medical System all working together, and includes collaborative efforts with other USM universities. UMBC is particularly involved in this. This was a very heavy lift to get this up, but it's off to a terrific start. We have now 93 different people participating in this, 10 industrial partnerships, a spinoff company already. We have groups from the NIH and the FDA sitting in our facility now. And for us academics, it's 150 papers published and 45 new grant submissions. So it will make a difference in the health and the economy of the state of Maryland, and I thank you for that. In terms of being entrepreneurial, we have $1.6 billion total UMB revenue, and 2/3 of that is generated by entrepreneurial activities. Our biopark is a great success. We just opened 4 MLK, which is an 8-story, 250,000 square foot building to support Maryland's thriving life sciences sector. And I want to mention one special program at 4 MLK. Empower, the strategic partnership, has started another program. UMB and College Park have set up a joint bioengineering program. College Park engineers with Baltimore's doctors will be in the same building with their students, looking for new cures and new opportunities to bring in grant funding. This was also tremendously sponsored by the Edward and Jennifer St. John Foundation, which put forth $10 million to making this happen as well. We are already hiring faculty for this. Lastly, we are an anchor institution for our community. In your handout, there are a number of programs around the many schools that are involved in West Baltimore, and many of these were specifically funded by you, and I want to thank you for that support. I want you to be aware of our newest initiative, which is not listed in the brochure. It's called the Village at Mondawmin. It's a new community health center at the old Mondawmin Mall, and we will have our faculty, staff, and students there, along with other schools, to serve that underserved community. We are very excited about it. It's led by the School of Medicine, but all schools will be present. This was done in conjunction with philanthropist Tim Regan. Some of you know him, and he's been very generous in helping make this happen. So we're really excited about this. Now on to Ms. Baker's request on what actions will be taken to cover the reduction in state funding. You have a written response, so I'm going to just highlight 3 areas. UMB plans to reduce full-time and part-time positions affecting faculty, staff, and contingent contractual staff. 66% of the savings will come from eliminating vacant positions. 29 filled positions will fill out the remainder of that expense. One risk is a negative experience on students with this, with these changes. A second is the recruitment of world-class faculty and researchers to come to UMB, and maybe I wasn't clear. The rest of that difference is made by 29 currently filled positions. Okay. Obviously, I don't want this to deteriorate UMB's educational research mission, and I'll do my best to not let that happen. Second of all, we will reduce our facility renewal funds. We have been strongly committed to facility renewal because our backlog is over $840 million. This will mean reducing our yearly commitment of over 2% going to facility renewal down to 1% this year, as well as last year. The risk of this is many of our buildings are greater than 25 years, and this will endanger their viability. And obviously, less maintained facilities are going to be detrimental to our mission. Lastly, we will plan to reduce facility service contracts and maintenance and other reductions. Our mission is to improve the human condition, a mission that demands the highest quality educational, clinical, and research programs. I will do all within my power to protect that mission in spite of these funding reductions. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Senator Quarterman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two things. One, and I apologize because I walked in a few minutes late. You were talking about something that was being funded by the Cigarette Restitution Fund.
Yes.
And it was zeroed out, and I couldn't find that in here. What was that again?
I couldn't find that in
the report from DLS. So I missed that part earlier.
I don't think it was in there, was
Okay.
it?
Well, I guess could you elaborate on what that was again?
I can.
It was something that was funded by the Secretary of
Yes.
Restitution Fund, but
So-
no longer being funded, you
So
said?
for a decade and a half or so, we have received money from the Cigarette Restitution Fund specifically to the Cancer Center
Right.
for support of clinical trials and clinical research infrastructure.
Sure.
For us, it's been about $12.5 million a year in recent times. This has been a key component to the renewal of our Cancer Center designation. We learned about that being zeroed out several weeks ago from 12.5 or 12.7 to 0. It will have we think, a tremendously negative impact on several things. One, the renewal of this grant, which is a very prestigious crown jewel. Second of all, we think it'll affect patient services because if you have a large group of cancers now are treated in clinical trials because the drug development is happening so rapidly. And so to get access to these drugs, you need to have a cancer center, a designated cancer center. Otherwise, they're not available. So we're concerned about that. The third thing for you to know is that about 40% of the patients treated in the Cancer Center in our clinical trials are underrepresented minorities, African American and Latinx patients. And so that also will be highly threatened by loss of this funding. So to us, it's a very critical omission.
Sure, no, and I appreciate the clarification because it seems like a good utilization of those funds for that same purpose. So I appreciate the clarity. The last question was about staffing. You reiterated about 29 positions.
Yes.
So I'll ask you what I asked the chancellor here was the other day. So will you be laying people off, like losing staff? Is that what you're saying? You're going to?
That would be, those would be layoffs, yes.
Okay, because I know when the chancellor was here and we talked about the system overall, there was
Yes.
a conversation of the system, no one would be losing their job. So I just want to, those statements seem to contradict each other, so maybe we'll get some clarification in the future. So
Yeah, I'm not sure I can
no, I understand.
clarify.
No, I understand you weren't there. It was just trying to.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
I would imagine things are changing on a daily basis anyway, so it's really hard to plan these days.
Yes.
Senator Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very, very quickly, just to return to the Cigarette Restitution Fund. Do you have any explanation why the Secretary of Health has made the determination in the governor's budget to zero that out?
My best response would be that those funds come from the settlement through the Attorney General's office. It was reported this year and last year that the total amount of the restitution for those 2 years was reduced, and therefore something in the CRF had to be reduced. And so we, as well as Johns Hopkins, had our funds reduced. So it was the income was reduced, and therefore we suffered that.
Thank you.
Senator Benson.
Thank you for your presentation. It's a pleasure to see you today.
Yes.
Could you just comment to our committee your thoughts? And I think I heard you talk about it this morning regarding the scholarships that are available to people. I'm very concerned, and I'm sure all of us are concerned about the exit of the physicians, the doctors are here, and I understand that they're just leaving, but also the cost of medical school, the School of Dentistry, is very high. And then we have this decline, or we're losing scholarship money. Could you talk to us about the scholarship piece? You had to have a decrease in scholarship funding. Could you talk to us just a little bit about that?
I think you're referring to the resident slots, is that?
Right.
So for those on the committee, when you, after you get your MD as a medical student, you then go into residency. In this state, in 49 states of the United States, those slots are funded by the federal government through HHS and Medicare. In the 50th state, which is Maryland, they're funded because we have the global-based revenue model and the Medicare waiver with the federal government. Those dollars are folded in to the waiver dollars, and so there's not a specific carve-out for training positions. We stayed where we were, but in terms of the number of those slots, but recently it's become crystal clear that we need more residencies, particularly in primary care specialties, family medicine, general internal medicine, pediatrics, OB. And we really need to expand those slots, but that's not really been happening in the state of Maryland. So, and certainly for us, we've not been able to do that. So that's an omission that we're concerned about. It's through the Cost Control Commission, though, the rate commission, that gets adjudicated.
We are the only state in the United States that has this arrangement.
That's my understanding, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay?
I hope this committee heard what he just said.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Senator. I have on my list here to testify this afternoon, Roger Ward.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but neither Dr. Ward nor Dr. Rhodes could be here.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
That's okay. All right, I think we're good then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. Yashadara Rai is our budget analyst.
Thank you, Madam Chair and the committee members. I am Yashodhara Rai, and I will be presenting the fiscal 26 budget analysis for the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture. The Commission's aim is to educate both the Maryland citizens and visitors about the importance of the African American history in the state. The Commission also oversees the operation of the Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum, the state's official museum on African American history and culture. Chapters 57 and 58 of 2024 changed the name of the Banneker Douglas Museum to Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum. The chart on page 1 shows that the fiscal 26 budget for the Commission is $1.8 million, which is an increase of approximately $200,000 from the fiscal 25 working appropriation. On page 2, Exhibit 1 shows that 75% of the fiscal 26 allowance supports personnel, which includes 11 regular positions, and the remaining funding reflects operational expenses for the museum. On page 3, Exhibit 2 highlights the proposed budget change. The largest increase is driven by expenses for services provided by the Department of Information Technology, which is partially offset by the one-time grant from the Association of African American Museums in fiscal 25. On page 4, personnel data shows that there is no net change in the Commission's regular positions. 2 positions were vacant as of December 31st, 2024, and have been unfilled for less than 6 months. Moving on to key observations. On page 5, Exhibit 3 shows the visitors' engagement with the Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum from fiscal 2020 to 24. The blue bars represent in-person visitors and the yellow bars represent online visitors. Starting fiscal 2022, the Commission reported engagement data as in-person and online visitors separately. While the in-person visitors have increased by only 5.5% in fiscal 24, the museum's online engagement has more than doubled to about 300,000 visitors. On page 6, Exhibit 4 shows the various events attended by the commissioners in each fiscal year from 2020 to 24. The commissioners attended a total of 328 events in fiscal 24, which is still 29% below pre-pandemic level. As of July 31st, 2024, the Commission has 17 commissioners. At the bottom of page 6 and continuing to page 7 is the last key observation. The Commission has started reporting on 2 new performance indicators: public meeting attendance and out-of-school program attendance, starting with fiscal 2024 actual data. At the Commission's public meeting in August 2024, it was noted that a strategic plan for the Commission is being worked on. Another performance indicator on the 2-day after-school program notes that 11 students participated in the program in fiscal 2024. This is a grant-funded program. On page 8 is DLS's recommended action to concur with the governor's allowance. On page 9 is the appendix. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Great job. Okay, we have Chanel Compton, Executive Director. Do you want to come up? Welcome.
Thank you. Greetings, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I would like to first thank Budget Analyst Yashadara Rai for her presentation and work with our agency's budget. As the Executive Director for the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture, we operate the Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum, as well as co-administer the African American Heritage Preservation Grant Program, which is a $5 million capital annual fund. I'm proud to report that with the support of the General Assembly, on November 1st, Maryland Emancipation Day, we renamed our state's museum to the Banneker Douglas Tubman Museum. Adding Harriet Tubman to our namesake, our museum stands as a beacon of courage and resilience, honoring humanity's greatest freedom fighter and elevating the profound contributions of Black women to our state, our nation, and the enduring fight for justice. In 2024, our agency launched Maryland Year of Civil Rights with the Office of Governor Wes Moore, marking the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. Maryland's legacy in the civil rights movement runs deep, from the Treaty of Cambridge and through transformative leaders like Senator Verda Freeman Welcome, Chief Justice Thurgood Marshall, and the Reverend Dr. Pauli Murray. Through exhibitions, research, youth and public programs, and community partnerships, we're connecting this powerful history to contemporary conversations about justice and equality. We also do fantastic publications. Our impact on Maryland's youth is particularly meaningful. Our youth and after-school programs are inspiring the next generation of thought leaders by connecting them to Maryland history, giving them a pride of place, and empowering them through creative expression. These programs have become a vital resource for schools across the state, helping young people understand their role in shaping Maryland's future. We're also leading groundbreaking initiatives like the Ancestral Remains Project, a sacred undertaking to properly memorialize and honor 13 African American ancestors whose remains were uncovered in Maryland dating back to the 18th century. This work exemplifies our commitment to dignity, respect, and healing in addressing historical injustices. And when I mean uncovering, when there's new development, that's when these remains come up. This year, we are developing a 5-year strategic plan. We're reimagining how our agency, founded in 1969, can serve Maryland and its tourists in new and exciting ways. through enhanced spaces of dialogue, expanded preservation efforts, and deeper community partnerships. Our team of 11 dedicated professionals works tirelessly to ensure Maryland remains at the forefront of preserving and celebrating African American heritage. Your support of our FY 2026 budget will strengthen Maryland's position as a national leader in preserving and celebrating African American heritage, ensuring that these vital stories continue to inspire future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the Maryland African American Museum Corporation. Taryn Atkinson is from Museum Corporation. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I will be presenting the analysis for the Maryland African American Museum Corporation. The Maryland African American Museum Corporation was created in 1998 to plan, develop, and manage the Reginald F. Lewis Museum of Maryland African American History and Culture in Baltimore City. Now, the corporation is a public instrumentality and an independent unit of the executive branch. As you can see in the operating budget summary, the fiscal 2026 budget increases by only $300, remaining roughly at $6.32 million. On page 2 in Exhibit 1, you can see agency spending by category. The largest allowance goes to personnel, occupying about 53% of overall spending, or $2.8 million. Now, state support for MAAMC is budgeted as a general fund grant. The governor's fiscal 2026 allowance for the corporation is level funded at $2.7 million. On page 3 in Exhibit 2, you can see the expenditures and revenues, with the largest increase between fiscal 2025 and 2026 estimated to be technical and special fees increasing by 9.8%. While total expenses are expected to increase between fiscal 2025 and 2026, $129,000 or 2%, while total revenue is expected to remain the same at $6.3 million. On page 4 in Exhibit 3, you can see the number of donors and dollar value of charitable contributions between fiscal 2018 and 2024. The total value of contributions decreased by $23,498 from fiscal 2023 to 2024 to $1.01 million. The first observation to note regards in-person and virtual attendance. On page 5 in Exhibit 4, you can see the total number of in-person and virtual attendance between fiscal 2016 and 2024. As shown in the exhibit, total in-person and virtual attendance to the museum increased by 12.4% from 20,614 visitors in fiscal 2023 to 23,178 visitors in fiscal 2024. The second observation involves volunteer staff volume. Now, MAAMC reported having 10 docents in fiscal 2024 and 90 volunteers, with that number remaining consistent in fiscal 2025. Now, as you see on page 6 in Exhibit 5, you can see the exhibit shows the total number of volunteers and docents between fiscal 2018 and through January 2025. And that brings us to the recommended action, and DLS recommends concurring with the governor's allowance. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great job. I think this is the first time I've worked with you. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the committee? Okay, we have Taryn Atkinson.
Actually, it's Terry Freeman. Taryn is my assistant.
Oh, there you go.
And she may have put her name in. She's brand new. Good afternoon. I am Terry Freeman. I'm the president of the Reginald.
Wait, just one second. We got to get a microphone working for you.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Terry Freeman. I'm the president of the Reginald F. Lewis Museum, and Senator King, thank you for the time. I also want to thank Scott Benson, who was our analyst. He came over to the museum, visited, toured, and we had a good conversation. So thank you again, Scott. To the committee, thank you for your time today. I don't want to rehash what I submitted. This is my third or fourth time that I have been coming before the committee for this budget hearing. And every time I come, I assure you that we are making progress. Well, this year is no different than years past. We ended fiscal '24 with a very large crowd at the museum for Juneteenth. Nearly 1,000 people were in attendance at our Juneteenth commemoration. And we started our fiscal '25 with quite a lot of activity. We opened a new exhibit called Eyewitness, Media and the Movement, to commemorate the 1964 Civil Rights Act, specifically Maryland's contribution to that Civil Rights Act, as well as having a statewide teacher training institute of about 30 teachers from around the state to learn about civil rights history and how they can teach civil rights history to students in Maryland. We started this year in celebration of our 20th anniversary. The museum has been open for 20 years this June, and we are anchoring our 20th anniversary celebration in an exhibit about our namesake, Reginald F. Lewis, who is a son of Maryland, Baltimore in particular. And that exhibit opens this Saturday at a free community day for the community, and we invite each of you to come and be with us on Saturday for that opening. I want to also mention that last year we were snowed out for our MLK Day, but this year we were determined that we were going to celebrate MLK Day, and we had nearly 700 people in attendance at MLK Day. We are on track to meet our membership numbers. We reported 441, I believe, for the year in our annual report, and we are now up to about 600 members at the museum. Our programming and our exhibits are top-notch. I will put us up against literally any museum. As we talk about Reginald F. Lewis, the title of the exhibit is Titan, the Legacy of Reginald F. Lewis, and we will have several programs that focus on titans of different industries. The first is the Titans of Industry with Taurus Richardson and Jeff Johnson. The second will be Titans of Education with President Wilson from Morgan State University and President William Harvey from Hampton University, and we will talk about Titans in Media, and Francis Tony Draper will be our speaker at that particular event. One of the things that was noted in the analyst report had to do with volunteers, and while the numbers seem to be static, we have many more people who want to volunteer, but we want to make sure we have something for them to do when they volunteer. One of the things I'm proud of is that this year we are getting ready to launch a brand refresh, and we have worked with the company SGK and Fufu and Grits. They have donated nearly $350,000 in services to do our brand refresh. So we're not paying anything for logo and all the rest of that stuff that goes along with refreshing your brand. And that will be announced to the public later in this year. Finally, since it was mentioned, the Village at Mondawmin, we too will be a part of the Village at Mondawmin. They are going to have a small exhibit area where we can take the Lewis Museum to the Village at Mondawmin, and we will be opening an exhibit about Blacks in white or Blacks in healthcare. And I think that's it.
I think that's pretty good.
Thank you.
Any questions from the committee? I don't see any. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least, we have the Maryland Public Broadcasting Commission. I'm going to go ahead.
There we go. All right. Good afternoon. I will be presenting the analysis for the Maryland Public Broadcasting Commission. Now, the Maryland Public Broadcasting Commission oversees Maryland Public Television, which operates and maintains a statewide broadcasting network for educational and cultural television programming. As you can see in the operating budget summary, the fiscal 2026 budget increases by $3.1 million, or 7.3% to $45 million. On page 3 in Exhibit 1, you can see an overview of agency spending for fiscal 2026. And the largest category is personnel, occupying 48% of the allowance, or $21.7 million. On page 4 in Exhibit 2, you can see the proposed budget. And the two largest increases are personnel-related as well as advertisement-related. Personnel for salary increases and related fringe benefits, including the 2025 cost of living adjustments, are increasing by about $1.4 million, while advertisement due to a need to advertise in new marketplaces is increasing by about $1.9 million. Now, regarding the Budget Reconciliation and Financing Act of 2025, there is a provision which would repeal the statutory requirement that the governor fund MPBC at the level of the current year appropriation increased by the general fund growth. Additionally, it repeals the requirement that the governor include a general fund appropriation in amount equal to the difference between the special fund expenditures from the two specific federal grants and the amount budgeted in the second preceding year. Now, on page 6 in Exhibit 3, you can see an estimated impact of repealing this mandate, and it's estimated by fiscal 2030. MPBC would lose out on about $2 million in general fund appropriation. So the first observation note regards audit findings. Now, on October 24th, 2024, the Office of Legislative Audits, or OLA, released a physical compliance audit, which included 6 findings, 2 of which were repeat findings from the previous physical compliance audit released in 2020. One finding repeated from the prior audit was that MPBC would not provide documentation proving that corrective action had been taken to address previous concerns regarding its affiliated foundation, or that actions were taken to address concerns from the Joint Audit and Evaluation Committee. An additional finding from the audit was that MPBC transferred $1.3 million in state revenue to the affiliated foundation between fiscal 2020 and 2023. The second observation to note regards MPT membership and contributions. And as you can see in Exhibit 4 on page 8, after 2 years of declining membership, membership in fiscal 2024 increased by 2,973, or 4.5% compared to fiscal 2023. Additionally, membership contributions remained at the same level between fiscal 2023 and 2024 at $8.1 million. For the third observation regarding MPT original programming, you can see in Exhibit 5 on page 9 that the total number of original programs produced by MPT increased to 240 in fiscal 2024. Despite the increase in fiscal 2024, the number of original programs remains below levels prior to the pandemic. On page 10 in Exhibit 6, you can see the total number of Maryland Public Television viewers. Now, total estimated viewership declined from 1.3 million in fiscal 2023 to 1.1 million in fiscal 2024, a decrease of 15.5%, and is slightly below the viewership levels in fiscal 2019. And with that, we move to the recommended action, and DLS recommends restricting $100,000 until MPBC submits a report describing actions taken to address findings from the fiscal compliance audit. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take your questions.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Larry Unger, come on up to the table. And Stephen Shupak, you want to come with him? This is your last time.
I'll
Change
try
your
and make it a
mind.
good one. Ready for me?
Go ahead.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for this time to speak about Maryland Public Television, one of my favorite things. Joining me today is Stephen Chupak, Chief Operating Officer, Patricia Fitzhugh, Chief Financial Officer, and Laura Yurtsberg, our General Counsel. I think this is my 27th legislative session that I have attended on behalf of MPT. During that time, the legislature has always been supportive of MPT and its mission, and for that, I thank you all. Clearly, my biggest issue for this session is that the FY26 BRFA contains language that would repeal a law that was enacted by the Senate unanimously and overwhelmingly in the House in 2017. Its purpose was to protect MPT from the vagaries of political administrations when it comes to federal and state funding. It provided protection from political whims back in 2017 and has protected MPT ever since. Those threats are certainly no less today than they were in 2017. The BRFA would remove that safety rail and leave Maryland's public TV network exposed to the very real possibility of the end of federal funding. I would urge you in the strongest terms possible to oppose the repeal of this law enacted not that many years ago in order to retain a robust public TV network for all of our citizens. We also have an audit issue this year. We have submitted a more thorough response in our written testimony, but to sum up, we commit to reviewing and changing our procedures as discussed in the audit and completing those tasks on or before June 30th, 2025. Now, as usual, I have a video that captures better than I can what this network delivers to our community. Thank you.
You'll tell me if I mess up, right?
Yeah. You know, there's just so much connection. Somehow it leads back to CIAA.
Keep coming, nice and easy. Like that?
That was awesome.
MPT is here to serve. Anywhere, anytime. With stunning broadcast and mobile-ready content. 2024 marked a record-breaking year for MPT, with 15 Emmy Awards and 42 nominations, the most in its history.
MPT is here to serve, with special reports and breaking news.
We begin our program at the Baltimore waterfront.
In-depth coverage of public affairs and local politics in an election year and every year.
The stakes of this election could not be any higher.
I think Maryland Public Television is a really important resource for everyday Maryland citizens and me as a policymaker. I know that Maryland Public Television helps us to be informed.
MPT brings a different kind of news programming. It's more in-depth, and it's much more valuable, I find. If you're interested in the background and the in-depth stories, MPT does it for you. It's a great asset to the community. I'm so glad we have it.
MPT inspires viewers to get outside.
And on the road with the new Motor Week app.
Never miss a mile of Motor Week.
Covering life on the farm.
Make sure before you leave, you go out of your way to thank a farmer.
And around the state.
We make the imaginable real in a very quick amount of time.
MPT explores the best Maryland has to offer, uncovering rare treasures.
I got them both at a consignment shop I guess you could call it, because that was a junk shop.
Your junk shop is really a treasure chest.
I'm going back.
You're better. Okay, and take me with you, will you? Okay.
Discovering remarkable talent.
From 5-star programs.
Hi, everybody, and welcome in. I'm Jim Hunter. It is a big sports day here on Maryland Public Television.
To 5-star events.
The beloved PBS program Antiques Roadshow made a grand comeback to Baltimore as part of its nationwide tour.
Here we are sitting in the last city, 5 cities total, and we haven't been here for quite a while.
So this is actually our 3rd time in Baltimore. The last time was 2007.
We're going to see Baltimore front and center in the 3 episodes. It's going to be an exciting show.
Today we'll expect to see about 3,000 people. We'll see people from all over the country, not just the DC, Baltimore area.
MPT is here to serve with programming initiatives such as HBCU Week.
This year marks our 5th season, celebrating the historic accomplishments and contemporary relevance of historically black colleges and universities. We pay homage to the contributions of the area's HBCUs, and now, thanks to the support of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, we're expanding HBCU Week to PBS stations nationwide.
MPT's Center for Maryland History Films combines the best of both local and national programming.
Maryland has such great stories, and we want to get those stories out, and we want to get them out beyond Maryland, and that's exactly what we've been doing. The Center for Maryland History Films allows us to do more and to get them out to a much wider audience. The best example, of course, is the Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass films. They did spectacularly, and they played all over the country. Our next film, which should premiere in the fall of 2025, is Thurgood Marshall. And let's face it, it's hard to find a story better.
Our first guest tonight is the man who argued and won a case before the Supreme Court of the United States. He's the Chief Counsel of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Thurgood Marshall.
And we're looking even beyond that, the Maryland State House. It has such a fantastic history. I have to thank the Maryland legislature. Without their support, none of this really would have been possible.
Now celebrating its 20th anniversary, Chesapeake Bay Week has played a vital role in educating and engaging the public in the preservation of this critically important estuary.
Back around 2004, I thought this remarkable natural resource of our state deserved a week of special attention each year.
The Chesapeake Bay really has something for everybody. It's a really big piece of what we use to connect with the community.
MPT is here to serve with the Maryland State Ad Agency, communicating critically important messages and public service announcements for state agencies.
Do something meaningful now. Explore your talent and discover your power through service.
MSAA received the Gold Award as the Best Small Agency of the Year in 2024.
MPT's Education Division provides parents, teachers, and students with quality programming and comprehensive online tools to thrive in the classroom and beyond, with innovative programs designed to reach students of every background.
Carl the Collector is a really heartwarming, funny, important new PBS Kids show. Carl and his friends portray what it's like to be both neurotypical and neurodivergent.
I'm really good at remembering facts about my collections, my favorite routines, and my friends' birthdays. But sometimes I need jokes explained.
Really no other show like that on PBS Kids or anywhere. Our education team is incredibly honored to be creating a robust set of resources that can be used in classrooms, in library programs, in children's museums, and throughout the community.
MPT has been serving the teaching and learning needs of young children in K-12 classrooms for over 50 years.
In November, MPT launched a statewide network to advance media literacy.
I'm proud that this new initiative will be a guiding light for both our kids and adults.
Our world is changing. It's hard to understand misinformation from disinformation. MPT has recognized the challenges, so we are establishing the Maryland Center for Media Literacy and Education. And we're going to galvanize the community, bring thought partners together for their expertise so that we can really get media literacy skills and knowledge into the hands of all citizens, because media literacy affects us all.
Informative, entertaining, inspiring. MPT has engaged Marylanders for over 50 years, on air and online through the PBS app, available on your phone, tablet, or smart TV.
And now, enjoy the very best of PBS.
This is you on the cusp of your next chapter.
It's a passageway into something new.
It just seeps into you.
It's a groundbreaking moment.
What a story.
She had the imagination of a genius.
Each time I go up there, it's the sense of newness.
It's beautiful.
We hope you'll join us.
MPT.
Be informed.
Be entertained.
Be inspired.
As you can see, we do an awful lot of different things, but we still don't think it's quite enough. And with your permission, I'd really like to have you view just one additional video. It's quite short, so that you're aware of a new MPT initiative. We've created the Center for Media Literacy that you heard a little bit about. We believe that there's a tremendous need at this time, and let's take a look at the video.
I'm on digital media, I'd say about more than 12 hours a day, really.
I do find myself just feeling like I'm not connected at all if I don't check it every half hour.
TV shows, movies, videos on YouTube, using social media platforms like TikTok and stuff like that.
About 1 in 5 American adolescents report having anxiety and depression.
Today, we're more connected than ever, and yet we often feel alone.
Our connections with each other truly are the foundation on which we build successful families, communities, businesses, and overall social enterprises.
Technology brings us tools, but also threats.
A new report from the FBI reveals that Americans lost more than $10 billion last year to online scams and digital fraud.
After a month-long investigation, police have arrested the school's athletic director for allegedly fabricating the audio clip using artificial intelligence.
We need the skills to filter what is useful and safe.
Social media has created the perfect storm.
It's terrifying as a mother of a young girl.
We're in the middle of a mental health crisis as it relates to our young people.
The latest front in the battle against fake news, the classroom.
At Maryland Public Television, we are committing the educational resources, expertise, and leadership to become the trusted partner for success in advancing media literacy. We are building on 50 years of experience. Join us now as we take bold action for all Marylanders. MPT has long been a trusted educational partner and convener, which is why we are spearheading this effort. With your support, the Center is building a statewide network to advance media literacy, a hub for the well-being of all Marylanders.
Media literacy is a critical issue affecting the citizens of our country, and the need for action is urgent.
The role of technology and media in our everyday life is only going to grow. I think it's important more than ever for kids to understand and for us to educate them to get there.
This is something we can do in every community. I think that public media has a really important role to play and a really important track record.
It's not too late, but we are in the crisis. We've got work to do. We've got work to do.
Join us as we take bold action to shape the future for all Marylanders.
Our young people are our future. And we have a responsibility to secure our future by building strong citizens. That's why your work inspires me. For the past 55 years, Maryland Public Television has helped to build strong citizens from childhood to adulthood. The Maryland Center for Media Literacy and Education, the first of its kind in the country, will build on that legacy. This initiative will help our children sift through what's true and what's not. And I'm proud that this new initiative will be a guiding light for both our kids and adults from Western Maryland to the Eastern Shore. But we didn't raise our hand to serve because we thought it would be easy. We raised our hand to serve to make a difference. And what a difference the Maryland Center for Media Literacy and Education will make for generations to come. On behalf of my husband and the entire Moore Miller administration, I thank you for your leadership and know that you have a partner in the State House. Let me end with this. The Maryland Center for Media Literacy and Education is not just setting the tone for our state, it is setting the tone for our country. People across the country are asking how Maryland got this done. People across the country are asking how can they stand up their own center. Let us continue to support the work happening here at Maryland Public TV. It matters and it is necessary. And together, we will leave no one behind. I thank you so much and congratulations.
I hope you'll agree with the direction that we're taking here. We've actually raised over $2.5 million from donors to get this off the ground. And I hope that the state will at some point support this effort. I again thank you for all this time and your support and would be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of years. It's not 27 that I've been working for MPT here in the legislature. So we'll continue to carry on with that.
You're our best advocate.
Thank you. Senator Quarterman.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and again, thank you for all that you've done over the years, and congratulations and well-deserved recognition this morning. I just want to touch on one thing real quick in regards to the audit, and I saw your response back there, and you're working through some things. I guess the one that just stood out to me from the DLS's analyst that it said that you guys would not provide documentation during the audit process, and then that there was also a JAC letter. Can you just comment on that a little bit? Because to me, that sounds like more probably a misunderstanding than anything, but I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to that.
Well, thank you. It does get a little complicated, and what they really want is access to some of the foundation's records, and that causes us a problem. But we have found a middle ground here. Okay. We will be setting this correct. As you know, we have not been here on an audit issue.
Sure, ever. Exactly. That's why I'm kind of surprised.
And by June 30th, this will no longer be an issue.
Excellent.
I don't know if that tells you.
That's fine. Thank you. Makes sense.
That's it?
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And Mr. Unger, I wish you absolutely the very best. And I'm sure I'll be seeing lots of fun trips on Facebook that you've been taking.
Indeed you will. Thank you.